Alright guys, so all day freaking yesterday, after making the videos about Black Myth Wukong and how I returned it because I just wasn't into it, all I got in the comment section was people telling me that it was a skill issue, the reason why I wasn't getting it, or that the game is super easy, or just a whole bunch of different gaslighting freaking comments back. So I picked it up again and I threw myself at that freaking boss over and over and over again, just to show you guys that, like, it's not necessarily a freaking skill issue. I kind of just feel like the game is unbalanced and feels very cheap because, I mean, because the game is supposed to be an ARPG. Now, when I think of an ARPG, I think of a game like Final Fantasy 16, or I think of, you know, like Castlevania, or some of the other games that, you know, like the JRPGs that you would, you know, basically start out, you start going through the game, and then it progressively gets harder. Now, in my opinion, Final Fantasy 16 is the perfect game for that, so we're going to use that as what I interpret to be an ARPG. Now, when you first start Final Fantasy 16, now Final Fantasy 16 does have a significant amount of cutscenes, so you will, in the very beginning of the game, you know, for the first while, you are going to be watching a cutscene playing for 30 seconds, watching a cutscene playing for 2 minutes, stuff like that. So yes, there is a lot of slowdown, so be prepared for something like that if this is a game that you're going to be picking up and playing on your PC when it launches on September 17th for Steam and whatever else. Now, I went through all of Final Fantasy 16 when it first launched on the PlayStation 5. I was lucky enough to get free review key for that from Square Enix, and, you know, I also bought a copy of as well. And the thing with that is like, you progressively get stronger, but so do the enemies. And by the end of the game, like, throwing your head against the wall to try to beat the last boss, that's how I picture a game like that. You know, you grow as you go through an ARPG. You're getting stronger, you're learning the moveset, you're getting better, and by the time you get to the end of the game, you're super powerful and the boss is super powerful, and then it feels like you're like, oh, when you beat the boss, you're like, oh my gosh, this game was freaking awesome. Now, a game like Black Myth Wukong, okay, this game was touted as being an ARPG, but, and this is just me going into the game with the mindset that Black Myth Wukong is an ARPG. And in my experience with games, there are ARPGs, which are, you know, a linear path from, you know, like a linear progression of, like, things getting a little bit more difficult, getting a little harder as you progress through. Whereas the Souls type of games, those are a different genre that are technically part of the ARPG family in the way that, like, the RPG elements and stuff work with them, at least to my understanding. And I mean, you can technically classify them as an ARPG. I mean, I do kind of in a sense, but when the developer tells you that, like, look, this is a game, you know, it's not too hard, it's not a Souls game, we don't want you to think like that. So they pretty much gaslight you into buying this game, thinking that, like, oh yeah, you know, because there are people out there that really struggle with Souls games. I'm one of them. Like, I don't necessarily struggle with them, but they take me a lot longer to sit down and focus, and because I have to, like, sit down and focus to play them, and I have to know what I'm getting into when I start playing them. Well, halfway through this boss fight that I uploaded yesterday, I finally realized that, like, oh my gosh, dude, there's a stamina bar on there, and that's what's kind of preventing me from doing things. And so now, instead of just sitting back and enjoying a JRPG and having some fun, or an ARPG, now I gotta pay attention to everything like it's a gosh damn Souls game, and I didn't want that. And I don't think a lot of people are gonna want that. Like, this game is but then I've got people in the comment section, you know, you could just run around him and then come back to him later and stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah. So what's the point of playing the game if you're just looking for ways to cheese it? You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be that way. They should have been more direct and more clear and said, like, look, this is a Souls game. I feel like they gaslighted people into buying this game. And I think, I honestly, getting into that game and feeling the way it plays and being frustrated and throwing yourself at a wall and thinking it's a certain type of game, because it kind of presents itself that way as an ARPG, like throughout the whole first hour of the game. You're just like running through, you know, you fight the first boss and you don't even take any damage, and you're like, all right, you know, this is cool, you know, it's showing me how the moves and stuff are gonna go. And then it drops you into the world and everything is pretty easy to fight, and then you get to one of the two bosses that they're like, if you go right, there's a big baby. If you go to the end, there's like a wolf with a fire blade. So then you're to these guys, and they stop you dead in your tracks. And I've got people literally, oh, I beat him on the first try. And I'm like, dude, I've been playing games for a very long time, man. And like, getting this dude's moveset down in one try, yeah, I don't know. But And yes, I didn't go into my character and update any of the stuff or like use any of the sparks, but I did after that video. I bought everything that I could with my 8 sparks or whatever, and then I went back and tried to fight him again. And yeah, dude, it's not really any easier. You still got to pay attention to everything. So I don't know why people are like trying to gaslight or whatever, but you know, it's one of those games, guys, where I don't necessarily think it's a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game, but there are things about Black Myth Wukong that just kind of seem a little off to me. And when I'm fighting that dude, you know, and you know, you hit the dodge button and you kind of move, or you try to use like the little spinning block thing, you know, I don't know. I don't know, man. It just kind of feels kind of cheap. Like I go to move, like I dodge, like I see him winding up to do the shoot across the screen thing, and I see him getting ready to do that, and then right when he goes, I hit that dodge button, and it absolutely does nothing, and he hits me, and then he hits me again before I can even react. Like, that shit's kind of cheap. Or when he does like the jumps up and he spins back down at you and stuff, it's almost like it's guaranteed to hit you. I feel like the game is unbalanced. I don't feel like I don't, because I've tried. I focused after, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute, what the heck am I doing wrong? Like, why doesn't this feel like you should be able to, I mean, if it's a Souls game, you should literally be able to be good enough to move out of the way and everything to be able to beat the guy without even getting hit. Like, you should be able to do that. And to me, it doesn't feel like I can do that. Maybe my controller's broken. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, this game to me, guys, is one of those things that is just very, very annoying. Like, I get frustrated with those types of games, and that's why I don't play them that often. Like, I usually reserve playing like Souls types games for From Software games. I don't really care about the other ones because they always end up feeling cheap to me. You get used to playing like a Souls game, and then you go and you play something like Lies of P or any of the other freaking games that come out, and they just never seem to deliver on that experience. Like, they always just end up feeling cheap, whereas, you know, like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring or something like that, I feel like From Software games are skill-based. I feel like everybody else just kind of copies and pastes, and they try to make it seem the same way, or I don't know, man. Like, Black Myth Wukong, to me, I don't think it's a bad game, but know what you're buying. Know what you're buying, and the people on the internet, they are, I don't know, man. That's what I hate about games, when they get super overhyped, and then everybody's like, oh man, that's the best game, and then they want to buy it. And then the game and then they end up buying the game and literally wasting their money on something that they're never going to play. Like, I'm literally to the point where it's probably just going to sit in my backlog. I'm going to come home today and I'm going to play it after work. But this game is almost one of those ones that's just going to sit in my backlog if it doesn't click soon, because it's already pushing me away from the experience. So today when I get home, I'm going to try to explore that area a little more, and try to find some stuff, try to see if I can, you know, update my character, something more before, you know, trying to progress forward. I will give it at least one more shot today. Because I just spent 65 bucks on it, so I better, you know, at least try to get some of my money's worth out of it. But as it's sitting right now, beating my head against the wall, like, that's not enjoyable. That's not enjoyable. I wanted to be able, I honestly wanted to just get in there and be able to play this game and be able to progress at a natural rate, you know, not being stuck anywhere for a very long time. I wanted to be able to play through it and just experience the game and the story and everything about Black Myth Wukong and the visuals and all of that stuff. But yeah, it just seems like you're going to have to sit and beat your head against the wall for most of this game. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling about it. Hopefully I can get some more time into it and get enough into the game to where I can actually give you guys, you know, a better understanding of it. But right now, man, this just feels like two paths blocked by freaking things that one of them like can kill you in 2 hits, and the other one is just super annoying to fight. So I don't know. Maybe the game will click with me, maybe it won't, but we'll keep trying. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.